Hello. We're back for part 2.
Back for part 2 of our mythology stories of the zodiac constellations. Who's ready to learn about their sign's constation? You already learned about yours, actually.
Well, okay, fine, whatever.
Go
Call
back
me
to
out
part
like that.
1.
I'll just... All right, I'm ready to learn about other people's, Kelly, okay? I'm very
you can
concerned.
learn about mine. So if you're just now joining us, the previous episode, we went through the myths of Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, and Leo. I think that's everybody. And so, we're going to go through the second half and just talk about the fun little myths that put those stars in the sky. I'm starting with Virgo, our virgin goddess. So the Virgo is the only zodiac sign that has like kind of 2 origin myths. And one is a little bit more distinct than the other one. So the first story is about this woman, Astraea. She was the virgin goddess of justice, the daughter of Astraeus, who was the father of stars, as the name kind of says, and Eos, the goddess of the dawn. But there isn't a whole lot of detail to her story. Like, there's no story of strife or anything, but she was a goddess who lived among humans during the Golden Age and really loved being part of like the human plane. But then Zeus eventually changes like the timing of the seasons and stuff, and they slip into the Silver Age and eventually the Bronze Age. And I guess that's when like humanity starts to degrade. And they become more unruly and just pretty terrible, as we see today.
Fair.
So throughout this time, the gods are like, we got to get out of here. These people are crazy. Like, it's not working out. We need a peaceful place.
Which the gods are
out of here.
Pretty crazy themselves.
They're
so if
also unruly.
They think that you're crazy, like you have gone too far.
It's bad. Yeah, they're the worst examples. So... so all these people are like bouncing, but Astraea, she's fair, she's dedicated, and she becomes the last one to leave Earth. And so when justice leaves, like you're in a land
bad
of no
place.
laws.
Yeah.
So because she was like the last one to leave, I guess she was like great enough to become the constellation in the sky. So when we think of the image of Virgo, we see this woman with like beautiful wings and these scales that she holds because she's judging, and Virgo's very judgmental.
I was going to say, this feels very Virgo coded. This makes
Josh
total
is
sense.
a Virgo. He
is, yeah.
I'm a Virgo rising, so I also very much identify with the Virgo.
I don't think I have like any Virgo in my chart, actually.
It's crazy, man. It's intense. I would love to shut my brain off, but it doesn't happen. That Mercury is just like, look at everything wrong in the world and think about it and how to fix it, whether you want to or not. So I feel like that's what she was doing. And she was like, I got to get out of here. Like, I can't.
Probably. Although she lasted for a long time. So,
the other part of the Virgo kind of lore is with Demeter and Persephone. So as we know, Persephone gets captured by Hades, who kind of fell in love with her at first sight. While she's down there, she eats these pomegranate seeds. So while Demeter is trying to like save her and break her out of the underworld, she has to come back because she had consumed the food of her captor or whatever. So they end up making that deal where Persephone can be above ground, out of the underworld with her mom half of the year, which is spring and summer. And then the fall, harvest, and winter, she goes back to the underworld. And that's how we get the seasons, because when she was first captured, Demeter freaked out. She's the goddess of the harvest, so she kind of controls anything that goes into vitality, fertility, all of that kind of stuff. So she caused a drought. And so now we know that when that time comes around, the harvest begins. You want to get up your plants because they're going to die soon, because Demeter's sad to see her daughter go. So when the Virgo constellation is in the sky is during that time. So it kind of signals like the end of the season.
Yeah.
And some draw like the other part of the Virgo. So the Virgo's holding a scale in one hand, and then she's holding like a thing of wheat in the other. And so people say that that's Artemis. That's the Artemis side, like withholding the harvest because of Persephone kind of thing.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So I think in both cases, these two female figures show a lot of dedication and endurance in terms of like being devoted to taking care of something or caring about something. And I think Virgos are very much like that. They're very much like service oriented and helpers and just like want to be there and be helpful to people that they care about. So judging on one side and then like being super caring on the other side, which is why we love a Virgo, because they mean well. They just want you to be the best that you can be, period.
Yes, fair enough.
Yeah. Forrest is a Virgo Venus, which is really hard because it's like
Interesting.
they don't know how to do like romance, but they can like they're very service oriented, and his love language is definitely favors, gifts, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of funny.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Moving on to Libra, and speaking of the scales, poor Libra doesn't really have its own story.
Oh, is it kind of like Cancer where they don't have like a great one?
Honestly, worse because it's like
really?
borrowing. Yeah, because we already talked about the scales. Think about that. We just talked about how Estrella holds the scales, the Virgo holds the scales. So
I also like don't think I know any Libras.
Interesting.
I like know so little about
like a
Libra.
Famous Libra. Libras
let's look it up.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about like their personality or anything.
Their air signs are ruled by Venus. So they are also very like, you should feel connected to a Libra because you're a Taurus, because you're ruled by the same planet. So you're just like different versions of the same thing. The Libra is more airy and things like that, but they still love and beautiful things and all of that kind of stuff. In my head, Libra is more of a Venus than Taurus is, because Taurus is so grounded and Libra is like, they've got air in them. So they're just like, oh, you know, like, let's just be beautiful and like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't like looking at the time period too and trying to think of if any of my friends have a birthday. Actually, I'm sorry. I do have one friend that's a Libra. Now thinking about when her birthday is, she's like right on the end of it. But I think that's literally, she might be the only Libra I know.
That's so funny. They're complex. I love a Libra and I never want to make a Libra mad.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Anyways, go ahead. Continue.
Yeah, I digress. So Libra is also the only inanimate object of the entire zodiac. All of the other ones are either animals or humans. So just another sad thing. I don't know. Like, why are Libras getting this hate or this slack? Because they're beautiful and everybody loves them. That's why they go through life without any issues. So anyway, thinking back to the Virgo story of Estrella, she's carrying these scales that represent the Libra. So where Virgo is the judge, Libra is the scales that bring the justice. The balance.
They're like the balance back. Yeah.
Exactly. And so it's also important to note that the Greeks at one point in time, separate from the Virgo, at one point in time recognized what we consider now to be the Libra constellation of the scales to be the claws of the Scorpio constellation.
Okay.
So to the Greeks, it didn't even exist. But the Romans thought it was really important to represent some sort of like human concept around law and order and justice. And so they chose to make that the scales.
Okay.
So not really any origin story at all.
There's no story at all. It's just
that's it. It's just like, by the way, you're taking from each of them. But I think it's interesting. There's a couple things that are interesting about this. One, Libra falls during the fall equinox. So think about the scales shifting from night to day. And like that's when that time changes. But also like Libras are really bad at decision making because they can see all sides of things. So if you imagine like it's come from Scorpio and it's come from Virgo, like imagine they're being like tugged on it's tugged on either side of like I'm stuck in the middle. I can't always make a decision. So that's my archetypal tie-in for Libra.
Okay, so it's like a mix of being a Virgo and a Scorpio.
Kind of, I guess.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Like in the way
I never want to put a Scorpio on anybody, but
you don't like Scorpios?
Well, I like a Scorpio woman. I can't with Scorpio men.
Actually, don't know how many Scorpio men I know. I try to just not know men in general.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great MO. Scorpio men are controlling, manipulative. And I don't like them. Yeah.
All right.
It's so funny because I've had so many bosses that are Scorpios and they're men.
Really?
And I have butt heads with every one of them.
That's funny.
Yeah. They just like control to have control and just,
yeah.
I hate that. Like as an Aquarius who's like rebellious, I'm like, no, go away. You're not the boss of me.
All right.
Even though you are.
I need to know the story now. What is the story behind? Because that's the next one we're doing, right? Scorpio? Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So Scorpio is the scorpion that kills Orion.
Okay.
So we will give a little background on Orion. He is the son of Poseidon. He is the greatest hunter alive of his time. And he's like an actual giant. He's like a huge dude who hunts. And he's also like allegedly the most attractive man ever. So naturally, as a Scorpio would be, very full of himself. So, he does all kinds of these missions. He's so good at hunting that he becomes the companion of Artemis, the goddess of the hunt. So that's how you know, like, he's the real deal.
Yeah. I love that he's still just her companion, though. She's like, you can come, I guess.
Yes, exactly. So the story kind of differs on how the scorpion gets sent to him. Some people say that he was going around boasting about how he would kill every creature on Earth because he can. And then other stories say that Apollo was like keeping an eye on him because Apollo's Artemis's twin brother. And he felt that Orion was like getting too close to her, maybe was like trying to assault her kind of thing. Either way, in either of these situations, it's about Orion taking things too far. And so the most common version says that Gaia, Earth, literal Earth, hears about his claim to kill the animals. And obviously she's mad because the animals are hers.
Sure.
And so she sends a scorpion to stop him. And he's like, oh my God, you sent this tiny little bug to get me. Like, ooh, big, scary. But a scorpion doesn't need stature to kill. A scorpion just needs to get close enough to strike you with its tail. And so it did so on the heel or ankle, depending on the story, and so kills him.
Okay.
And Artemis is upset. So maybe he didn't actually assault her. She obviously cares about him. She's devastated by his defeat, and she asks Zeus to place him among the stars. And Zeus does, but he also decides to place the scorpion up there across from him in the sky. So when you look in the sky, Orion's on one side and then the scorpion's on the other.
Is that the one we talked about at the beginning of like the extra that's in there? Okay. Got it.
Yep.
So there's an extra, but it's like related to another sign.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So the connection here, I think, is, Scorpio is Mars ruled. So kind of the god of war. Think about that. And we have the judge, that was the Virgo. We have justice, that was the scales. And now the scorpion is enacting the justice. By taking them out.
Right.
And so also like Scorpios can sometimes come across as like harmless and like they're very charismatic. They're very interesting. They're like into really interesting stuff. So it makes you think that they're really cool, but they will strike you. They will strike you when the time is right. If you've done them wrong.
Yeah.
They'll keep that in there and they'll just sit and wait and then they'll strike you.
Okay.
So don't cross a Scorpio. And sorry for any Scorpios out there. We know that most of you are women, so you're fine. I love you. Don't take any of that to heart. You probably know.
Yeah. I love a Scorpio. So
yeah. I love a Scorpio lady.
I'm here for it.
Sarah, my best friend, she's a Scorpio moon.
Oh, there you go.
So like we both have Mars ruled moons and we're both deeply emotional. So We bond that way. Moving on to Sagittarius, the centaur.
Okay.
So when we think about this sign of Sagittarius, it's the bow and arrow, like the archer, basically.
Yeah.
But really, the centaur is the symbol. And it's a specific centaur named Chiron. So in mythology, centaurs are half man, half horse. And they're usually depicted as like violent, drunk, dangerous, boisterous because they have like that wildness of a horse and like,
Okay.
and then they're a
I
man.
see.
So, and then you're a man.
What can you do?
What can you do? The thing about Chiron, however, he's like not your average centaur. He is actually the son of the Titan king Cronus, who mated with an ocean nymph, Philyra.
Okay.
So Cronus is married to Rhea at the time. He's hiding from her for whatever reason and comes across Philyra and disguises himself as a stallion, as the gods tend to do, change their animal
Shape.
and sleeps with her. So born as a result is Chiron, half man, half horse.
I see.
She is a human and is obviously really spooked about the fact that she has this like monstrous creature, and she abandons him on Mount Pelion. But he ends up being raised by Apollo, who teaches him wonderful things like music and medicine and prophecy and the arts. He becomes this like visionary, philosophical character who just holds so much knowledge, and people kind of go to him for that. He becomes a renowned teacher for the greatest heroes in mythology. So he teaches Jason, he teaches Achilles, Theseus, Perseus.
I was going to say his story kind of like reminds me of Achilles, because isn't Achilles also like abandoned? His mom goes back to sea, right? And then he
probably
is
I don't know
raised
that
by
well,
somebody
to be honest
else.
with you.
I don't remember either, but I feel like his story kind of sounds similar.
Yeah. So one day when Heracles is visiting, he accidentally pricks Chiron with one of his arrows. If you remember back in the Cancer story, Heracles is fighting the Hydra. So when he kills the Hydra, he dips his arrows in her blood, and so he has poison arrows. And so he accidentally with the poison arrow. And unfortunately, Chiron's immortal because he's half god.
Okay.
And so he can't die and has to suffer with this wound for eternity, and it's miserable. So Chiron, being the wise man that he is, goes to Zeus and asks him for a deal. He wants to sacrifice his life and immortality to free Prometheus, who was chained to a rock for a millennia for giving fire to humanity.
Yeah.
I don't know about that connection or like why, whether he knew Prometheus or whatever.
I'm trying to remember because we've talked about Prometheus in an episode before and how I don't remember what episode.
Yeah. So Zeus agrees and frees Prometheus and places Chiron among the stars as a Sagittarius constellation.
Okay.
So yeah, it's the connection here, I would say, is that Sagittarius are very much a lust for life and knowledge. And so the philosophical, the music, the medicine, like a Sagittarius is going to get a PhD in 7 different things throughout their lives through human experience. And so that like very much, I think, resonates with the archetype for sure.
I can see that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I get that.
Yeah.
I get behind that.
A little bit a stronger one than some of the other ones, I would say. Moving on to Capricorn, the sea goat, our fun little half goat, half fish. So Capricorn also has kind of 2 distinct myths, and then one feels a little bit more direct, and the other ones, honestly, they both kind of ladder up to Capricorn energy. So the first story is of Pan and Typhon. Typhon is the most terrifying monster in all of Greek mythology. Even the gods are scared of them. And they often will like transform into animals to hide from him. So one day Typhon comes for Zeus and tears up his legs, like tears out the sinews of his legs, and he is left immobilized and helpless. Pan is hanging out down the river and sees all of this, and he's like, shit, he's gonna come for me next. I need to jump in the water. He tries to turn into a fish to escape. but he doesn't fully work. He only transforms half his body. So the bottom half becomes the fish. The top half remains a goat, therefore the sea goat.
I see.
Then I guess like he's panicking in his half-formed state and decides, I'm going to go turn around and like try to aid Zeus. So he and Hermes come together to recover his stolen sinews, restores them, helps Zeus get back on his feet, and then later on the gods like regroup and like eventually they do defeat Typhon. But Zeus just kind of thinks it was like a funny situation where he tried to like turn into something else and all of that. So he decided, I guess because also he helped, was he put him as a constellation Capricorn.
Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember which like dates Capricorn fell. So I was just looking it up. And so you and Caviar were like right on the edge of
We're
Capricorn.
close. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, she's day of the change. Like people probably born that morning are Capricorn. Yeah.
Right.
Because I always claimed like I'm the first full day of it.
Okay.
Yeah. So myth number 2 is about Precus. He is the father of sea goats. So sea goats were like also a thing, I guess. Anyway,
of course.
So he is the father of all sea goats. He's very intelligent, honorable, and sea goats can like speak and think like humans, so they're like pretty advanced.
Okay.
And so he was created by Kronos. And Kronos gave him the ability to reverse time for whatever reason. But so, as the father of sea goats, he has a lot of sea goat children. But for some reason, they keep crawling to the seashore. And when they land and they stay there, they start to lose their fishtails. They're evolving, so to speak. Their minds become dulled. Their speech disappears. And they just turn into like ordinary dumb goats, which is not the vibe.
So they live in the water primarily, these sea goats. Okay.
Right.
I see.
And on land,
I didn't know if going to the shore was them going from land to water or if it was going from water to land.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay.
Yeah, I guess they're coming out of the water. So he has the power to turn back time. So what he does is he'll turn back time, get them all back into the water, and they'll just keep doing it. They just keep doing it over and over and over again until there's eventually just like no sea goats left. But he tried. He was really diligent. And so he's miserable because he's the last of his kind and he's like this immortal being that has this special power for no reason now. And he's like, Kronos, please, like, let me die. Like, let me join my other sea goats and like go off into the ether. So Kronos takes pity on him, puts him in the stars instead, and he can watch, for any of his children to return from above.
Okay. All right.
So Capricorn connection here, I would say 2 angles here, like looking at the sea goat itself. One half is a mountain goat. So they love to climb. They're not afraid of tackling a challenge. Like they're going to do the hard work to get to
stubborn,
a goal.
I'm assuming.
Yeah. Yeah. But also, and so they come off as these like harder exteriors, but underneath that is where the fish lies, where the emotional depth lies. And so lots of Capricorns kind of have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder because they're like, why doesn't anybody else work as hard as I do? Because they're ruled by Saturn also. So like their lives are difficult. They often have difficult childhoods. And so there's also like a lot of turbulence that sits underneath. So like when you get to know a Capricorn, they will cry. They will cry a lot, more than anybody would expect a Capricorn to cry. So I think that's always interesting. And just like the dutifulness and the honorableness of Precus or Pricus, where he's like diligently like serving his responsibility, his whole life until he like just can't take it anymore, is also like very Capricorn coded.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. I don't think I can't think of any Capricorns that I know right offhand.
I love a Capricorn.
Yeah.
Boy, girl, I love a Capricorn. We always get along. Yeah. We're always on the same page because Aquarius is like, it's in the modern day, it's ruled by Uranus, but like really we've been ruled by Saturn this whole time.
Okay.
And so like I have 4 Capricorn placements and 2 Aquarius placements. Cause so I'm like,
oh wow. Yeah.
I'm walking Saturn. So I really vibe with that.
Nice.
Moving on to Aquarius, the water bearer. So the The water bearer is represented by a guy named Ganymede. He is the Trojan prince of the son of Tros who founds Troy. So pretty important guy. Homer described him as the most handsome mortal being ever born. So he's like this very beautiful guy. And so beautiful that Zeus takes a liking to him. He's like out there tending sheep on Mount Ida, and Zeus spots him and he's like, wow, he's perfect. Let me bring him back to Mount Olympus and he can be our cupbearer. Zeus either transforms into an eagle or sends one of his eagles. Like, it depends on the story. And he sweeps down, grabs him, brings him back to Mount Olympus. Obviously, his dad, the king of Troy, is upset. And so as payment for him, he gives him a pair of divine horses. So like this breed of horses that like carries immortals across the river to the underworld.
Okay.
They can run over water. So that's his compensation. Random detail. Back on Mount Olympus, Ganymede is given the role of the cupbearer to the gods. He's responsible for keeping every Olympian's cup filled with the nectar and ambrosia that keeps them immortal and young and beautiful forever. So like a beautiful man serving you the fountain of youth, basically.
Right.
And he's also given immortality himself. He's eternally youthful, eternally beautiful, and eternally has to pour drinks for these gods, which is not the vibe. Hera hates him because she feels like she has to compete for Zeus's affection because he like is just enamored with this boy. And so and he just has to like listen to the gods be like insufferable all the time. And he's just like hating life, which like Aquarius very much has a distaste for humans a lot of the time. We love humanity, but like singular humans are like, ew, a lot of the time. And I do feel that way. And so eventually he gets really fed up with it and decides he's going to take every jug in Mount Olympus and dump it out all at once. He floods Earth and causes this like catastrophic flood on Earth. And obviously Zeus is like, what is going on, dude? Like, why? What are you doing? And then he like catches himself in this moment of reflection and he's like, wow, I've actually like taken this boy from his family and his home, enslaved him forever. And like that was maybe a little bit selfish. And so as part of his restitution, he places Ganymede amongst the stars as a constellation, I guess, to honor the work that he has provided.
Right.
So I think this story really illustrates something that people get wrong all the time. Aquarius, because they have the word aqua in it, does not mean it's a water sign. Aquarius is an air sign. We hold the water. We are not the water itself.
Okay. Yeah.
So he controls it. He carries it. He decides who gets it, when they get it. So it's very much like he has the power to like feed humanity. And Aquarius are very humanitarian. They want like this altruistic, better place because they are like, they feel distasteful about like the human race a lot and they just like wish that humanity could just do better and be better. So like thinking about the fact that he's like dumping all the vitality into the world, like even though it caused this catastrophic flood, it could kind of be looked at as like a Robin Hood thing of like taking from the gods and
getting back on the gods.
Yeah. Also, he was like an outsider amongst the gods. Yes, he was immortal.
Right.
But he wasn't one of them. He was in service of them. And a lot of Aquarius also always feel like othered because they do see the world so differently than other people that they sometimes can have like a hard time relating.
Yeah.
Which like I do feel that way at times, but not all the time. You know, everybody's complex. We got plenty of other signs. Like I'm a sociable Aquarius, but I also like I feel everything bad about humanity really deeply. I just like can't take it. Like anybody experiencing injustice, I'm like tore up over. So very much resonate with that. And our last zodiac, Pisces. Do you know any Pisces?
I do know a few Pisces. Yeah. I feel like very gentle kind of sign.
Yeah. Very dreamy, sometimes a little bit delusional. The men are not as great, but standard.
What men are?
Yeah. Because they do a little flip-flopping with that tail. But so for the Pisces story, we're going to actually refer back to Typhon from what we heard in the Capricorn story. So Typhon is this terrible monster. Even the gods are afraid of him, yada, yada. One day he's like coming for everybody in Mount Olympus, and Aphrodite and her son Eros are walking along the Euphrates River when he appears. And so Aphrodite and Eros transform themselves into fish and leap into the river to escape him. And to keep from losing each other in the current, they tied themselves together with a... So when you look at in the sky, it's the two fish, but there's like a line of stars that connects them, I guess.
Cute.
Yeah. And so Aphrodite was just like, you know, they survived and everything. And she was so like, I guess, enamored by like the closeness that they had and the way that they were able to stay connected and survive. She asked Zeus to place it in the sky as like permanent record of like this, you know, defeat, I guess, of escape.
Yeah.
So with Pisces, Aphrodite is the goddess of love, which we do typically think of like Venus being part of that, so like Libra and Taurus. But Pisces really has this deep devotional energy too. They can often like lose themselves in a relationship. My sister is a Pisces Venus. God bless her heart. She loves so deeply and so like dead that even like when it's not the best situation, they have a hard time letting go. So that cord comes into play. Like they become very tethered to people. And so, yeah, the idea is that like a Pisces can get sucked down by that tether or something like that. I don't know. That could be.
Yeah, I could see that kind of like
connection.
A little passive, probably like not wanting to engage with something dangerous, maybe, or risky.
Right. Totally. Yeah. I feel like Pisces can tend to worry about things and get in their feelings and ruminate a lot. That's why some of them kind of like Pisces do have a tendency maybe to like numb out with like substances and things like that too.
Okay.
So they're just really emotional and they care a lot about a lot of things and they get caught up in like the what ifs of it all and get a little bit delusional and find themselves in some not so great places sometimes. But we love them.
I do love a Pisces sign.
Yeah. Sometimes I can't vibe with them because they're so weird. And like I like weird people, but when the delusion goes too far, I'm like, this is where I draw the line.
Yeah.
But I love working with a Pisces. They're good to collaborate with and they're hard workers often too. So
yeah, I feel like there's definitely some signs that I don't know somebody in that sign particularly closely, maybe where I'm not as familiar with it. But I feel like the only signs that I don't necessarily tend to get along with are Gemini. That's so the one for me. I feel like on the whole, all the other signs I don't really necessarily have a problem with.
Well, Geminis are so unpredictable. For a Taurus who likes like predictability, stability, it's just like not the vibe.
Yeah, so I think that's what it is.
What's really funny is Sarah and her sister Rachel. Rachel's a Taurus and she's a Gemini. And they like are obsessed with each other, but they're also so different in so many ways. So
they can get along. It's just
they can get along. It's possible.
Has to be the right relationship.
But she is very much the Taurus and she is very much the Gemini in terms of like how they move through the world for sure.
That's funny. And yours, okay, so like which sign do you feel like you, besides your own, like connect with, I guess, the most? Or
Leo, hands down. I love a Gemini. Okay. So growing up, my two best friends were Aquarius. So I do love an Aquarius because we are the only ones that like get each other on like this extra level of like that feeling like an outsider, like we can be outsiders together kind of thing. But I love a Gemini and I love a Leo. And like Leos, they're the opposite sign of me, but they're my yin and yang. They're everything I'm not. And like, my dad's a Leo. My best friend from high school is a Leo. Same birthday as Forrest.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, I have a lot of good friends that are Leos, and I just like love their vitality for life and like fun loving and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah.
And then would you say Scorpio is the one where you're like, absolutely not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Scorpio, you're gonna have to convince me otherwise. And a Cancer.
Okay.
Really water signs.
Cancer's one I don't know as much. Okay.
I don't have any water in my chart. I have a Scorpio placement, but it's generational, so it doesn't really count.
Okay.
I don't have an ounce of water in my chart. And so I just can't vibe with it. I'm too much earth and air. I get along with the Pisces the most. Cancer women, yes. Cancer men. I do like my boss who's a Cancer. I dated a Cancer and he
Okay.
really ruined it for me. They're emotionally
Fair enough.
manipulative when they want to
Yeah.
be. And I can't with that. That's really cruel. So yeah, but in terms of like, we're probably not going to get on the right foot is a Scorpio man.
All right. Fair enough.
Yeah. So that's
Nice.
our
Well, that was
mythology
fun.
stories. Yeah.
Yes, those were all very fun. I loved those. So thank you for
We
doing
love a
this
Greek
topic.
myth and we love
Yeah.
astrology. So what a perfect way
Yeah.
to blend them both.
I know. I loved it. All pretty strong stories. I mean, even some of them, the more maybe ones that don't have as deep of like a meaning, I feel like you can still tie something to it.
Yeah. I liked the Virgo, Libra, Scorpio sequence of like how they could all tie together. That was kind of fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is fun.
Let us know what you guys think
right.
and whether your story
Yeah.
resonates with your sign in the comments.
Yes. Yeah. Let us know. You can find us on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube if you want to watch our episode. We are at Renfair Pod on all of those platforms. Also, you can leave us a comment there or leave us a comment on whatever podcast platform you're listening to if you just want to share your thoughts or let us know what you might want to hear in the future for a topic. But otherwise, we will be back next week with something different for you.
Yeah, stay tuned. We'll see you there.
Bye.